significance. All right, so the keys to growing beyond some of the pain and the impact of our life, and to live a life where our significance is in God, not our significance is in getting people back. Our significance is not in proving ourselves to people. The key to us operating in our significance in God is what's called objectivity. It's something. It's a word that Robert McGee uses in the book, but just Webster's. To be objective is to live a life that's based on facts or reality. You know, we did a teaching a long time ago, reality versus reality and the truth. So a lot of times we don't live a life of reality. We don't live in reality. You know, we think because we feel something that's reality. So as long as we feel this, then it's right. But that's not necessarily reality. I mean, if you're older, a lot of us are old enough to understand that those feelings have nothing to do with reality. And so we're not living what a lot of people know and live every day. It's basic 101 to them. It's they live in truth. They live in a realness. They don't live, how can I put it? They don't live within their mind. So their philosophies exist outside of their mind. And what your philosophy is it's how you think. That's your philosophy is your worldview. Your worldview is shaped by repetitious information, authoritative voices in your environment. And some of us are so we've spent so much time maybe wanting to not mature. Now take yourself back. You know, okay, you guys have kids, and you notice how. So you got the different levels, but let's say Terrell crossing over to, between 10 and 12, and he's about to cross over to teenager, so you want to be a little more responsible, but there's something in him that he still wants to be a kid. Not like he might have been kicking and screaming, but not like he's kicking and screaming, but there's something in him like, I ain't had to do this a couple years ago, so why are we doing this now? Why is this important? What's the big deal? You guys look like you was doing a good job of taking care of all this stuff. So I'm good. I'm just playing. There's something in them there's something in her that wants to play. Now, so you see that, and that's not far fetched. We had kids. You've seen that. You're about to see it. So if that's not far fetched, imagine if that time in life is not really dealt with. Imagine that you're so pacifying that you allow that process because you feel like, what's the big deal? So now that person is 20 and they're still a kid. Now, why would they not be a kid? You didn't allow them to mature, right? 25, they're still a kid. Why would they not be a kid? You didn't allow them to mature. 30, 35, 40, 45, still a kid. Now how does a kid just grows based on how they feel. They're not, so think about it. Responsibility. When responsibility comes and it's work, something in them, they trying to get around that. Like you have to, how many times I told you, homework first or take out the garbage first, you have to train them that way. That doesn't come with the package. You get a toy, the batteries come with the package. That doing the homework first or doing the work first doesn't come along with the package. You have to train them. But if you decide that you don't feel like training them because every time you challenge them, they're uncomfortable, because sometimes they can break you down. Kids can break you down. They'll get to a point where they'll get so irritated that you go, well, I'll just leave them alone. And you figure it'll be okay. Because up to that point, you guys were the best of friends. We're buddies. So I don't want my buddy mad at me. But only this is your child. This is not just your buddy. So you're doing what's best for them. So now you have to sacrifice being liked. You were the all-star. Everybody else was despised, but you were number one. But now number one got to go, no, you can't do that. No. It almost can't even come out your mouth. Not right now. Go ask your dad. Let him be Darth Vader. I want to be still in good graces. So time goes by, and this person grows up. They're not used to being uncomfortable. Because when it was uncomfortable before, some comfort would come behind it. Even the punishment wasn't going to last long because you felt, they suffering. Let's just let them go. How does that play out now in the choices that the person makes? They make decisions based on how they feel. And they fight and they cause arguments in relationships based on how they feel. Not based on the reality of what's best. See, so that's the change. The significance is if you live in an objective life, you live in a life where your philosophy, your worldview is not based on just what was comfortable before. You're stepping back and look at, now, how did I get to this point? Actually, I was babied. So, but if you hadn't had to consider nobody else, you just like, I don't think y'all understand. Everybody needs to keep adjusting themselves to make me comfortable. This is how I like things. So you'll do things regardless of the cost. You'll do things it'll be more for you than even God. God will be requiring something to get done and be like, well, we can't do that until I'm comfortable in what I want to get done. But that's not reality. That's how you feel. And then you tell yourself, it's okay because I want to do it. And then you come up with reasons to do it. And you figure it's okay because I got a reason. So now you're playing off of how you feel. Your worldview is how you feel, not reality, not the truth. You make sure you get no full-length mirrors in the house. So now you can play off of the reality of, I'm face looks fine. My bone structure is all together. But the reality is you're not healthy. You see, that's a reality. But you may can break it down where even the person that sees you unhealthy thinks it's a great thing to be unhealthy. Could I sign up too? But everybody gonna die from something. So you be like, hey, I didn't think about that. You're right. Why am I trying not to die? Now, I know that might sound far-fetched and off the hook, but that's how people flow. After you start to listen, and then you start to take on their reality. Because it sounds good. I mean, they have a good way of not handling their business. And they make it sound good. Okay. Well, that looked crazy, but I guess it's not what I thought it was. Yes, it is. So again, worldview. Something that we go through in premarital. One of the things we deal with is the couples with you're bringing in two new worldviews. Now, people come together all the time and don't even address their worldviews because they feel it's going to be great. Happily Ever After. That's what the cartoon was, Happily Ever After. And I was watching Sleepless in Seattle and all the other movies, and they was Happily Ever After. So, we feel good. We met at the restaurant, and we have some similar stuff in common. And they made me laugh. So that's all we need, right? They got the ring, or they bought me a car, or whatever the case may be, and you figure it's fine now, right? That's not reality. The reality is you still got two different worldviews that you got to work to see how do you get those two worldviews to merge together? Or do you want to even merge with that worldview? But you feel, but I feel good. What's the big deal? Who needs counseling? So you can go 10, 12 years and you've never dealt with two different pictures. You're walking around with two different pictures. For years, 10, 12 years. Then the kids be like, well, I thought y'all was getting along fine. But you never told the kid, I know how we got two different pictures. And I've been so busy dealing with y'all, I never told the person, this is not how I pictured it. You see what I'm saying? But you're supposed to do that before you go in, right? You got to deal with those pictures, reality, right? So again, objectivity helps us to get to those things. And so what's going to happen is we can't be afraid of the light. As we keep growing in God and get around the Word, let's go to Psalms 119. One of the things it does is it brings us, this is a scripture that we talk about a lot here, something I quote a lot, but it's always good to read it. It's the deal, stay in the light, which is hard, but staying in the light does expose us. But guess what? It exposes all darkness, not just us. Okay, listen, staying in the light does expose us, which a lot of times we run from. I was the person that was taking me through a exam. So they asked me these questions. So they got to the questions where it was like, all right, so have you ever done do you do any drugs? Do you drink? You do any drugs? And I don't do none of that stuff, so I don't drink, I don't do nothing. So, and then it was like, well, we have to ask the questions. So the person felt uncomfortable. I said, no, go ahead. I said, I have to do that in my profession too. She said, well, so I wasn't trying to, I said, listen, what's not exposed can't be helped. Now, they're asking me exposing questions, and I'm answering them. But when I made the statement, in my profession, people have to ask questions, and they got to tell the truth. Otherwise, I can't help them. She says, well, some things you want to keep to yourself, because you don't know who you could trust. I said, well, what's not exposed can't be helped. I said it again. And now the session was about me getting physically worked on. But I know the Holy Spirit was working on that person. Because it was like, you could tell, they was cracking jokes and being laughing. After that statement, it shifted real quick. They jumped back to the sheet. I said, so I just said it again. I said, well, what's not exposed can't be helped. and I saw like a panic kicked in. Meaning that I'm hiding some stuff that I don't want to expose. Well, what are they saying? I can't be helped. I don't want help. And something in them feels like it's going to be okay. Because I feel like it'll be fine. I can handle it myself. Now, I have not been doing a good job of handling it. It's been breaking me down and stressing me out. But I feel like I can handle it myself. Like my philosophy was, I can deal with anything. And up to that point, I pretty much was, the stuff I went through growing up, we talked about it last week in the foster home and stuff like that. Me and my wife was talking, and I was saying how, I was telling her how, as I grew, I started to deal with the realities of the people that I grew up around. Like one person was a drunk and almost choked me to death when I was 8. And then the other person that I was close to, the reality is he was a drunk. But I was cool with him. And so when he died at a young age, I'm like, how did he die? But if I have to be honest with myself now, I'm grown up, because he was drinking all the time. When he came back, beat up or bandages all the time, it's like, man, somebody mugged him. The reality is you were drunk and you had another bar fight. But since he taught me basketball and how to play chess, it couldn't have been like the other person that's mean when they're drunk. So this has to be something else that happened, but no way he was in a bar fight. Because I feel like he couldn't have been. Am I dealing with reality? You see, so we got to stay in the light. And Psalms 119, 105 says this. It says, it says the word is a lamp unto our feet and the light unto our path. A lamp unto our feet shows us where we're at. It shows us where we're at, and a light unto our path. And it also shows us where we're going. So if you use your imagination, you think of a lamp and you're in a cave and you put the lamp on your feet, it gives you a picture of where you're at. When you hold a lamp up out before you, it'll clear a path for where you're trying to go. So when we take the word and then go down to verse 130, I know you've heard these verses 1,000 times here. It says, the inches of thy word giveth light. It gives understanding to the simple. You know what it does?